In January of 2022, during the period of primary elections in Gilmer County, Georgia, a Facebook group calling itself Say No to Tom Whatley for County Commissioner was formed. Tom Whatley was a grassroots candidate running for Post 2 Gilmer County Commission seat. The following are just some of the ties from the Say No to Tom Whatley for County Commissioner SNTTWFCC page. There are many more which are not included here. I took screenshots of the group members list during that time. Dates are at tops of pages. I began to recognize a lot of names of people in city and county government in both elected and appointed offices. They also held board seats for city development, were on civic group boards, county political boards, or were employed by the Gilmer Chamber of Commerce or served on its board in either the past or present. I began to see several connections between banks, developers, realtors, and government leaders. So I followed the leads where they went and found, in fact, that former bank executives whose banks had failed because of their risky or outright criminal practices had moved into local development, real estate, and government. It was the investigation and research done by citizen journalists at Mountain's Voice that ultimately resulted in the closure and seizure by the FBI and FDIC of the Appalachian Bank, also known as the Gilmer County Bank or the Bank. The more I explored, the more I began to recognize a lot of names on the group list as being connected to Gilmer County Development Director Kent Sanford, several of which were in his own family. There were also people who worked at the bank, at other banks, or were immediate household to those who did. There was one particular bank that caught my attention pretty quickly, Gilmer County Bank, aka The Bank. Gilmer County Bank became Appalachian Bank after Appalachian Bank Shares, its holding company, was formed. Gilmer County Bank was formed by Kent Sanford and Tracy Newton. Capital raises were done through soliciting predominantly families local to Gilmer County, according to news articles written during that time. As I looked further at the names, I began to notice that although they are no longer in banking together, they and their families are still connected through land development, building, economic development, real estate sales, and as the authorities overseeing all of the above. A build-to-rent tax credit housing initiative called Gilmer Initiative for Community Housing, or GIC, led by Kent Sanford and Carlene Ferguson in partnership with the local Georgia High Country Builders Association, of which DeVell Freddy is president, appears to be the bank workaround for financing new construction. The housing initiative presented as a small group of millennials calling itself the Gilmer County Labor and Housing Alliance, whose three core members were Ed Sanford, J.D. Lee, and Jonathan Miller. It later became clear there was much more to the initiative and its core members than meets the eye. This is the group logo. In an article from the Times-Courier picturing group members, a public invitation to attend their town hall, and a screenshot of a video taken by Caitlin Neal from that town hall. At first, they were strictly a community action group with Post 2 Commissioner Carlene Ferguson as their champion, but as the Post 2 election neared and Whatley announced his candidacy, together with Nicholas Finelli, they created the FNTTWFCC Facebook page, and they officially endorsed John Marshall. And a screenshot of that endorsement. In a video extracted from the FNTTWFCC group page, which can be found on YouTube, a member called upon the other group members to come block this son of a bitch off, referring to Tom Whatley.
Well, guys, I need your help today. Come down here and block this son of a bitch off. He's a real scumbag. So we'll need your help. Thank you very much.
On the page, a video was posted of a group member flipping off Tom Whatley and calling him a profane name as he was campaigning. A post was made by another group member asking if any members were available to surround Mr. Whatley with John Marshall signs as he campaigned. And on another occasion, a video was posted of a member removing Tom Whatley signs altogether.
What's up, jackhole?
The sign thief extracted the audio from this video to protect himself based on the content of what it said. But the audio is out there. That Facebook group also endorsed John Marshall, but they didn't stop there. They also began to fundraise. Here's J.D. Lee once again on this group page to endorse John Marshall. Candidate John Marshall was himself a group member. The connections and gang-stalking behaviors were truly disturbing. Elected and appointed officials responsible for public safety, justice, and government offices for one reason or another found their way into the group. It isn't that they were there. It's that they stayed.
My good friend John Marshall here.
Good morning.
So everybody remember, vote John Marshall, post 2 commissioner.
Please get out and vote. People think that I've already won. I got the most votes. Yeah, I did. But I didn't get 50% plus 1. I've got to have the most votes this time, too. There is a runoff on June 21st. Early voting starts on Monday, May 13th through the 17th. No Saturday voting this time, Monday through Friday only. So get out and vote and tell everybody else you see.
It's important. We have to keep local people in office. We got to keep Tom Whatley out of office.
While our officials were aware of the behaviors, they did nothing to stop it. Nor did they remove themselves from the group. Except for one honorable City of Ellijay council member, Tom Crawford. After John Marshall won the election in a runoff, the group changed its name to Gilmer United, where top contributor Police Chief Lacey posted as recently as October of 2023. Edward Sanford, Carlene Ferguson, and others are still members there as well. To date, no actions or charges have been brought by or against any of the officials who were in the group. John Marshall went on to win the Post 2 commission seat in a runoff between him and Tom Whatley. The rest, as they say, is history. Group member Carlene Ferguson, pictured in the Times Courier with the Alliance, former Post 2 commissioner, and panelist at the Georgia High Country Builders Association Symposium on Housing.
I just want to, first of all, I have to thank Kent because Kent and our former Chamber President Page had applied for GIC, or Georgia Initiative for Community Housing, a couple of years ago, and they did not get it. And then Kent asked me to co-chair with him on that, and I was like, absolutely, yes.
Mrs. Ferguson, of course, endorsed John Marshall. Group member Deb Cantrell. Deb works as a project manager at the Georgia's Rural Center and chair of Copper Basin Federal Credit Union Board. That northern office is in the core building run by Kent Sanford. Group member Tanya Davis Caldwell. Executive assistant to the director at GTBA. GTBA director Rhonda Futch Chatham, appointed by David Ralston. Rhonda's daughter to Roger Futch from the bank. Group member Sandy Davis Ott. Sandy is on the Ellijay City Council. Current mayoral candidate. And GIC committee member. And executive director at the University of North Georgia. Group member Kevin Pritchett, Ellijay City Council member. Group member Edward Lacey, City of Ellijay Police Chief. Group member Scott Chastain, Gilmer County Probate Judge. Up until he was elected probate judge, he worked at Chastain & Associates with Mark Chastain as a surveyor. In 2009, Mark Chastain became county commissioner, while continuing his work as a surveyor. Prior to that, in 2007, he was on the United Community Bank Board. During his tenure as county commissioner, Mark Chastain found himself in a lot of scandal. Group member Jeff Fick also works at Chastain & Associates and is the county surveyor. Group member Melissa Waddell, deputy coroner and social media manager for the Sheriff's Department. Group member Caitlin Neal. Caitlin Neal works at the Chamber of Commerce. Her father is Joint Development Authority Director Kent Sanford. Her brother is Reese Sanford, Downtown Development Authority former chair. Group member Alex Neal, her husband. Group member Trent Sanford, twin brother of Kent Sanford, uncle of Caitlin Neal and Reese Sanford, president of failed Walker County Covenant Bank. Reese Sanford recently took a job as SBA Director of River City Bank. Not only was Reese DDA Director, he was also on the County Library Board. Group member Rhonda Sanford, wife of Kent Sanford. Kent is the Director of the Joint Development Authority. He is also on the board of CORE. He was co-founder of the bank with Tracy Newton, founder of New Horizons Bank, appointee of David Ralston to Chattahoochee Tech, and GIC chairman. Group member Tim Sanford, brother of Trent and Kent Sanford. A group photo of Gilmer Chambers, Citizen of the Year, Trent Sanford. Here, Trent's son Chris shared an Alliance post and Caitlin liked it. Group member Tammy Watkins and her husband Gary Watkins. Tammy is the Chief Registrar for Gilmer County. Group member Kim Hedden, Finance Clerk for the Gilmer County Board of Commissioners. Group member Andrew Laukka, Gilmer County Animal Control Director. Group member John Marshall, Post 2 Commissioner, and David Ralston's appointee to the Northwest Georgia Regional Commission. And Development Steering Committee member.
In 1989 and again in 2019, I served as the chairman of the Gilmer Chamber. For the last 5 years, I was on the Chamber's Executive Committee and on the Board of Directors. David Ralston, the Georgia Speaker of the House, asked me to be his appointee to the Council of the Northwest Georgia Regional Commission.
John's father, Glenn, was the president of the LJ Bank, where Tracy Newton and Kent Sanford cut their teeth in banking. Glenn is credited with bringing the Chamber of Commerce to Gilmer County. John's wife is Penelope Marshall. Penelope is a Board of Directors member of the Joint Development Authority with Kent Sanford. Penelope is also the Chief Financial Officer at Amicalola EMC. Penelope's boss is David Pierce, Post 2 at AEMC, former Board of Directors member of First State Bank. Along with being on the boards of AEMC and First State Bank, David Pierce was also a developer. Group member Lori Pierce. Lori Pierce is LJ City Clerk. Group member Gary McVeigh, pictured with the Alliance members, is the director of the LJ Gilmer Water and Sewer Authority. On that board with him is Hubert Parker, Post 1 Commissioner. Hubert is an ex officio member of the board of the Chamber of Commerce and a lifelong friend of former House Speaker David Ralston. Hubert cameoed in an ad for Chastain and Associates.
For more than 20 years, Chastain & Associates has been a proven source for prompt, professional land surveying services in the Southeast. We provide a full range of services, including boundary surveys, commercial alpha surveys, land planning and permitting, property consulting, and flood elevation certificates. Utilizing the latest technology and equipment and software, our skilled professionals are committed to the highest work, quality, and accuracy. Chastain & Associates, covering Dixie like the dew since 1995.
Hubert Parker and wife Nancy were the first to donate to Greater Gilmer Community Foundation, previously New Horizons Foundation, currently known as CORE. Greater Gilmer Community Foundation Board of Directors are Kent Sanford, Penelope Marshall, and Amber Davenport. Amber is Vice President of United Community Bank, LJ. Hubert Parker's wife Nancy is sister to J. Ronald Knight from the Board of Directors from the bank. Hubert Parker was appointed to the Department of Driver Services by David Ralston. Group member Lori Lovinggood Bramlett. Lori is the Enrollment Director at University of North Georgia. Her sister is Leanne Dover. Group member Leanne Dover is married to Alan Dover from the bank. Alan is currently a realtor at Century 21 and works with developer Bill Holt. Dover's co-worker at Century 21 is Melinda Haddon. Melinda Haddon is a GIC committee member. Melinda also sat on the board of the Downtown Development Authority with Reese Sanford and Keith Nunn. Group member Deb Cantrell. She works at the Rural Center at CORE and is a bank director. Group member Mark Glover. Mark is a Gilmer County Fire Marshal. Group member Chandra Teague. Chandra Teague is married to David Teague. David Teague is brother to Adam Teague. Group member Adam Teague was on the board of directors of the bank. Adam was arrested and spent several years in prison for his role at the bank. David and Adam work with former bank client and developer Bill Holt. The following are Bill Holt's subdivisions. These lists were compiled by the Gilmer County Planning and Zoning Department. As you can see, Bill Holt has been rather busy in Gilmer County developing subdivisions. Group member Joseph Sisson works at Sisson Log Homes and Building Supply along with Joe Sisson of the bank. Joe Sisson is credited with founding the Fannin Chamber of Commerce. Several Sisson, DuPont, and Carter family members are in the group. Joe is a partner at Sisson, DuPont, Carter. Sisson, DuPont, and Carter develop land and build houses. Jim DuPont is a board member at large at the Georgia High Country Builders Association. Here he is pictured with the Alliance. The Georgia High Country Builders Association advocates on your behalf to local governments to promote continued growth. DuPont sits on the Gilmer Planning and Zoning Board. GHCBA guest speaker Betsy Shepard sits on the GIC committee. Betsy Shepard owns Shepard's Loft, a marketing company housed within CORE. GHCBA board member David Grubb works at Shepard's Loft along with Betsy Shepard within CORE. They assist developers and builders with marketing. Ms. Shepard spends a lot of time marketing for GIC. Group member Dorothy Logan sits on the Planning and Zoning Board along with Jim DuPont. She was also an executive board member at the bank. Dorothy's father-in-law, Cicero Logan, was Gilmer County's first commissioner. Her husband, Mac Logan, would later become commissioner. Together, Dorothy and Mac Logan sold their business to developer Bill Holt. Mac Logan sat on the board of First State Bank with David Pierce. Dorothy's niece, Lisa, was married to Tracy Newton, president of the bank. Logan's Ace Hardware became Holt's Ace Hardware. Group members Debbie Frady, Max Frady, and Sandy Frady are related to Lisa Frady, who's married to DeVelle Frady. Lisa and DeVelle both sat on the Development Steering Committee. DeVelle Frady is the president of GHCBA, which hosted the Housing Forum, where Carlene Ferguson and Betsy Shepard spoke. Again, GHCBA's mission statement is to advocate on behalf of builders and to continue to develop and promote growth. And a check to Greater Gilmer Community Foundation and the campaign of John Marshall. Group member Keith Nunn is the owner of Appalachian Building Supply. He is a member of the Georgia High Country Builders Association, and he sat on the DDA board with Reese Sanford. Group member Kenny Warren works with Bill Holt at Bill Holt Automotive, and he was on the board at the bank. Mr. Warren recently sold his downtown LJ business to developer Bill Holt. Group member Chad West, along with several other local men, found themselves in trouble for interstate racketeering. The charges included stealing heavy-duty construction equipment. Group member Tiffany Watson used to work at the bank. She is the current Gilmer Chamber Chair. She is the executive director of Gilmer Family Connection, a member of the State School Superintendent Parent Advisory Council, and GIC committee member. Pictured at CORE and Citizen of the Year of the Chamber of Commerce. Tiffany was not only a member, she was also a major recruiter to the group page. Group member Paige Green Hutto, former Chamber of Commerce president, and on the steering committee for development. Together with Kent Sanford, she created the Joint Development Authority, and together they began to work on GIC. Current Chamber of Commerce president Jennifer Grimmer, member of the GIC committee. A small contingency of familiar faces visits the Georgia Capitol. A whole busload of Say No to Tom Watley for County Commissioner group members. Realtors represent a large swath of Gilmer Chamber members. They also represent a large number of the Say No to Tom Whatley group. Realtor Cassie Stover made a Planned Parenthood donation in the name of conservative pro-life candidate Tom Whatley. Included in the long list of group members who were realtors is Ed Sanford, one of Carlene Ferguson's Housing Alliance kids who just wanted affordable apartments. Ed pictured at the town hall with the Alliance and in the Times Courier with the Alliance.
We have to keep local people in office. We got to keep Tom Whatley out of office. We have to keep local people in office. We got to keep Tom Whatley out of office.